Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first video. So we will be learning FastAPI very quickly. This will be a quick start video for you to learn FastAPI. So it's FastAPI is a boon for every developer who is doing backend development. You can create routes very easily, like very easily. You will understand. You'll get to know very soon. It's very modern, fast, okay, and it's under the hood. It is created on the top of Starlet, and Starlet is written on the top of Rust. So it's something, some Rust thing is going on. So obviously it's fast. And most importantly, this is developer friendly. You don't have to care about most of the things when you were doing in Django and any other backend framework. So let's have a look. Not only this, it also creates the documentation, like documentation, you could say. For me it's the documentation. It creates a Swagger UI for you, and that you also get the OpenAPI.json. So you know you can feed this to somewhere else, and the whole documentation and the API reference for your routes will be automatically generated using this OpenAPI.json. So understand the power. I think now you understand the power. Okay, let's start learning a FastAPI now. Okay, let's come back. Let's go to VS Code now. Okay, I have created some pre-written code, so I'll just remove everything. Okay, I removed everything. We'll start from scratch. Okay, so first of all we'll initialize the project. So in order to do that, I'll be using UV is a great Python package manager, just like npm you can say, and it's a great I think this will also teach you a little bit of UV. So in order to do that, you simply create that it will simply create some pre-written files, which is very important. I mean, you have some main.py which is pre-written, and this toml file which will maintain all the dependencies that you will add in, and also that .git folder. You don't need to initialize it. It is done automatically for you. And for this FastAPI tutorial, we will need to install two important packages. Let's come back here. Okay, so yeah, we need two dependencies. One is FastAPI standard and SQLModel. This FastAPI standard does have other modules as well. So when you install FastAPI standard, it also installs few other modules as well. For example, UV Con, Ginger2, and FastAPI CLI, most important. So this we will use to run the FastAPI server, go through the errors that we'll see on the go. And yeah, and I'm preferring to use SQLite DB as so, and for any what do we say, table like DB, for example SQLite, MySQL, PostgreSQL. Okay, I mean non SQL, no SQL, it's SQL. So all the SQL based database, this SQLModel will be handy, and the FastAPI also recommends it. And I would recommend using SQLModel instead of using Pydantic. Yep, don't use Pydantic because it's already solves all the Pydantic problems. So let's come back on VS Code again. Yep, on VS Code we will install all those models which I just showed you. So to do that, you simply say UV add FastAPI and then standard SQLModel. So what it does, it initialize that environment for you. UV automatically does it. Okay, you don't need to care about initializing environment and adding in the model. So it adds all the environment inside a newly created environment. Okay, it installs all the dependencies inside the newly created environment. Okay, now I restarted the terminal so that the current environment is activated. So it was activated. The name of that environment is Introduction to FastAPI. And yeah, so to begin with this tutorial, we'll be using only 3 files, very simple files. So I created 3 files using touch command. Main was already created. I created database.py and database.db. Database.db, obviously SQLite, so it's a file based database. So I'm keeping I'm viewing this table using SQLite viewer. You can go on the go on the extension side, extension section of this VS Code and say SQLite viewer, and hopefully I will see it on the very top. Yeah, this one you install it, you can view all the tables like this. That's very cool. Yep. And yeah, we'll start writing database.py first. So first of all, we'll create a variable database URL and SQLite, and because it's in the same directory where the all files are and the database.py file is, so we'll simply say database.db. And we need to create an engine to connect with the database, so we'll initialize a variable named engine. We have to import a few functions classes which are important for writing this database.py. So for creating an engine, we need to import a function named create engine. So we'll import that from SQLModel because we are using SQL based database. So SQLModel import create engine. Yeah, okay, I don't know, for some reason VS Code is not recognizing SQLModel, so we'll refresh it, or maybe first select the interpreter. We did. Now we'll reload the window. Let's see if it recognizes now. Okay, it did. So we'll create engine, simply calling the function react create engine, and supply the database URL. Also we'll say that we want to print everything that you will do with the database. So any SQL command that will be running with the database, it will be printed or echoed inside the terminal, so we'll be able to see what's happening. Okay, and we'll create another function which will supposed to write all the tables which we will define under SQLModel. So we'll say create db and tables. Okay, and here we'll first of all import the class SQLModel. Okay, and metadata create all, and we'll have to provide that engine to create all the tables. So every table that you will create under SQLModel, it will fetch through the metadata and it will create all those tables if they don't exist, but that will only create if you call this function. So I think this is enough for this database.py. Now come back to main.py. There is something which is already written. We'll remove everything from here, and yep. So let's create a variable app which will be an object of FastAPI. And where this will come from, it will come from FastAPI import FastAPI. Okay, it does take few arguments, so leave it as such. So we'll leave it as such for now, but we'll obviously add something inside the FastAPI argument later. So let's first create a table. I would like to create a very simple table named book. Okay, that will be inherited from SQLModel. Okay, yeah, and it will be having three columns. Let's say ID, and let's say name and author. Okay, and inside the id will be of type uuid. So uid is simple random characters that is generated on the go. So yeah, I defined that it will be a uuid, and this name will be a string, and this author name will also be a string. Okay, and in order to generate that, let's say generate in uuid 4. Okay, so in order for this to automatically generate this id, we have to define a default function that automatically generates the id. So to do that, we'll be using a field class from SQLModel. Yeah, and here we will provide that function that will generate that uuid, I mean that particular id. So I'll pass uuid 4, that will help generate that id. And I also want to make this a primary key. So yep, I made this a primary key. See, until now this book model is not a table yet in the database. We will have to separately say to that FastAPI, to the SQLModel, that this is a table. Okay, so to tell explicitly, we'll have to say that it's table. So let's say table equals to 2. You have to pass this in order to tell the SQLModel that it is a it's a table. Okay, now we have done that. Still that table is not created. So once we run this, so this is the way we run it. Okay, it says just say in the terminal FastAPI run main.py. It will run it. Okay, it will run it, but it won't create any of the tables. So if you go back here in the database.db, it doesn't have anything. So in order to tell that this table has to be created in that in that SQLite database, so we'll have to override the lifespan method. So in order to do that, we will create our explicit lifespan function, lifespan, and that will take FastAPI, and inside that here if FastAPI starts, okay, then all the logics will be here, and once you build something and after that FastAPI ends, then all the logic will be here. So I want that FastAPI to create the tables before starting. So we will import that create table function that we had created in database.py. So to do that, from database import create db and tables, and also import that engine. We'll need it later, but anyway, import it, and yeah, just call this function. So every time, not now, until we don't specify the explicitly written lifespan function. So once we did that, now every time the FastAPI will be running, you will run that FastAPI app, it will go through this function. So it will first create those tables, and then the rest of the things will start. So let's do this again. Let's run it. So when I come back here and reload it, we have the table book here, because you can have a look, like, and all this ID, name, and author. Okay, now let's create two very simple routes. How to do that? So first of all, we would like to create some books. Okay, so we'll create a create route. Okay, so to do that, just say wrap a decorator. I mean, you have to create a function saying create book. Okay, and you have to wrap this with the decorator saying that will be post function. So app.post and books, and the response, I want to take the response, whatever response this route will hit, it will be a simple book type. Okay, and it won't take anything in the argument, simply, so no argument. Sorry, in the create book, it will it will take the book as an argument. So we'll have to say that it will have the book as an argument, and with to do that we'll have to first create a session. So in order to do that you will create a session. Okay, we have to import the session from SQLModel again. So let's import the session and provide the engine. Okay, now the session variable is created, and now let's create the book. To do that you can write the syntax session dot add that book. Okay, it's not done yet, we are not done yet, the book is not created. The book is, first of all, it is in the transaction, and then session dot commit. Now it's created in the database. Okay, and now we want the refreshed version of that book. Although we imported the book here, but it's not complete because we didn't pass the ID. Okay, so we want the generated ID as well. So refresh that ID. So this book now consists of that ID, the dynamically generated ID from here. Okay, so that now we'll return this book. Okay, let's see if this function, this route works. So we'll restart our FastAPI. Let's come back. Okay. Here we have our route. Okay, books, which is post method, which accepts post method, and we'll create a few routes. We don't need this ID, so we'll remove this, and let's say random book, author 1, let's say book 1 and author 1. Okay, and just execute it. The moment we execute it, it returned with the ID. Okay, it returned it with the ID. So the schema, the response model we provided, it says that you should provide that ID, name, and the author. Okay, so that's the reason we had to specify response model. Okay, now we have created the book. Let's create another book. Okay, we have created 2 books. Let's have a look whether the 2 books are created. You see the 200 status, that means it was running appropriately, and also all the interaction with the tables are being echoed in the terminal. And let's reload. Yep, we have all those books here. Now we'll implement another route which will get those books. Okay, so to do that, let's say get books, and the response model for this will be, it will be a list of book. Okay, it will be a list of book. So let's define get books. Yeah, and this function won't take any argument because we don't require any argument for now. So with session same as above, engine will create session on the go, and to get all the books will execute SQL statement. So that select will come from SQLModel. We need book. Okay, all books. That statement will return all the books. Okay, and now we can simply return all the books. As simple as that. So this function will run absolutely fine, just 3 lines of code. Let's test it. We'll have to reload. Okay, so we don't have that route, so we'll reload it again. So we now get the routes. what the routes. Okay, the moment I executed that, you can see it's like in the Swagger UI itself, you can test all the routes. You don't need to go to the postman and test the routes. You can do it right here, and you see it is working absolutely fine. And yeah, there is one quick tip that I'll give it to you. So the reason let me show you. Okay, so let's come back here. So let's say in the list of books I don't want ID, so we'll create a separate schema. Okay, and how this will become a schema, we'll simply one provide table equals to true and remove this ID, and let's say book public. Okay, and if I say book public and I provide the response type as book public, now see this book public doesn't have ID. So since I provided the response model to be of type book public as a list of book public, not book, which doesn't have ID. So when I'll trigger this get books route, it will give me all the book with the information but not the ID. So let's test it. Okay, you see, you got the name and author, not the ID. So this is a pro tip in FastAPI. This is the advantage of using FastAPI. This is the advantage of using FastAPI, and I hope you like this video. Understand the power of FastAPI. Start using it as soon as possible, because this is very easy for any backend developer. Like this video if you learn something new. Bye.